I'll just throw this one in before I show you these things about the boxthorn. From Goji Plants Australia. Myth and actual information. This is actual information. Traditional Chinese medicine, blah 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 blah. The dried berries are usually for sale in the health food stores as goji, but that frequently means a combination of L. chinesium and L. barbarum and L. ferocyssimum. It's actually lycium is what the L is here. What's this ferocyssimum? It's the African boxthorn. For all intents and purposes, regarding the fruit, they seem identical. Even the much maligned African boxthorn has highly edible and nutritious fruit that are hard to distinguish from any of the other varieties. So I could have made a killing with Chinese boss selling Lycium ferocyssimum berries back to China, but I poisoned the buggers off. Doesn't matter, still plenty around me house. My nan told me that in Depression they used to make jam out of said berries, and they actually aren't too bad. They sort of taste a bit like mandarin in a way. It's sort of, yeah, a bit like mandarin rind. It's been a while since I nibbled any, but I think if I'd done anything with them, I would be cooking them to basically kill the, make the seeds sterile. In other words, make it so that they will not germinate. And here's something I was going to show a while ago, but I didn't get round to it. Here's one we pulled out. That's all your root structure. Well, it did come from down there. It's still in the ground. But it's a bit different, this one. All this here was laying on the ground, and all this side, sort of from here right around, was all the stuff facing the sunlight. What would this happen to be? That's right, roots. That's your proper roots, and then it comes up and traces along, I think it's this one here, and then branches out to this, and then bingo, sticks roots back in the ground. What I'm trying to say here is you could very well come along with a reciprocating saw or a chainsaw, whatever, cut this off where the roots go into the ground, only to see the bastard continue to keep living because it has roots further up. It also has roots here. And this is closer, but once again, this part touched the ground. Bang. Blew some roots out. That goes to quite fine roots there, actually. Just interesting to note that this thing is capable of putting roots out of the branches. And so even if you get the main root, cut it off where the heart of the plant is, it may not necessarily stop the boxthorn. Like I said, this stuff is as resilient and bloody bulletproof as you don't want it to be when you're trying to kill it. It's a pretty remarkable plant and how bloomin' hardy it actually is. But a lot of stuff in Africa is flamin' hardy, and of course this come from Africa. I believe it's around Cape Town or something like that. I also believe it's actually up in Somalia and everything. But I could have that confused with another plant because that's second-hand information from a nurse who went there to work as a charity who's probably not very good with plants at all. Yeah. Here's the other thing I wanted to show. A couple of them have tried to make it back. Now generally, you have your little buds there. Actually, you can see where the dead leaves were. usually coming out of those little lumps. Well, this is obviously had all the outside dye, but either because I couldn't get the sprayer in deep enough, or you know, this one didn't quite get hit at the right time, or was a stronger plant than I thought, or whatever. They've come back in certain areas. Now have a look at it. Full on cluster. I mean, just like crazy cluster. And so this won't matter too much because I reckon I can douse it up with enough fuel and it'll be game over. And the other thing is, even if I douse it with a bit of fuel and only the dry stuff burns, that means all the prickles will be gone. Almost all the prickles will go. Because it's only the stuff further inside where these are resprouted. And where they're resprouted, a lot of them have sprouted straight out of the actual stick or the small branch and just gone absolutely gangbusters. Now this is just their sporadic last ditch effort to save themselves. I must admit there's only about half a dozen out of the whole lot that have done this. Just see the way it's all clustered. It's unbelievable how it's all, you know, seriously reminds me of a bloody end of a flower or something, the way they've all gone. But anyway, that's it trying to fight back from the inevitable. And even if I burn this, you know, as I said, all your spikes will go, and then it'll be really easy to get into the base because there'll be no more spikes left because they're dead, and of course, as a result, dry and will burn easily. And so I'll lose all my spikes, and then it'll be no issue at all to get in and cut the base off, and then paint the poison on the stump, and then we should be right. And then we might have to slice up the remains or just basically, you know, burn whatever didn't burn next year round, possibly on another bonfire stack, if I can slice it into a few bits and take it to another bonfire stack.